That kind of brings me again full circle to sort of my next point, which was I don't know if you guys saw. Um, I don't know how familiar with you. I'm sure you guys are, but so he's been making the rounds this past week. Zoltan Pozar, he's kind of the I don't know what you call him. I call him like the granddaddy of like financial plumbing. So this guy's kind of seen it all. He's had some good calls over the past, so he's very well respected in the space. But he put out a piece that went viral. A couple people sent it to me, but basically, and this guy works for Credit Suisse. So Bretton Woods, he's calling it Bretton Woods 3. So he says, I'll just read his portion of his paper here. We are witnessing the birth of Bretton Woods 3, a new world monetary order centered around commodity-based currencies in the East that will likely weaken the euro-dollar system and also contribute to inflationary forces in the West. Crisis is unfolding, a crisis of commodities. Commodities are collateral, and collateral is money. And this crisis is about the rising allure of outside money over inside money. Bretton Woods, number 2, Bretton Woods the second, was built on inside money, and its foundations crumbled a week ago when G7s seized Russia's FX reserves. So I don't know if you guys have any comments on that, but I think it's a really important dialogue, and it's pretty far out there. I mean, it's I think we're going through a changing monetary order here.
Do you want me to go? Yeah. So I like to say that that's similar to the view. So we've been talking about this kind of stuff for a while, and I'll always say I think we're going to be 75% correct. And another way, or a easier way to say what Zoltan is saying is that we're going to have a different monetary system coming up. It's going to happen, whether it's commodity backed or something backed, who knows? But the point is, something will break in between. And when all that breakage is going on, it can't be over a weekend. Like, again, this is, everyone's getting ready for it because the central bank digital currencies, it's out there. But they'll try to hold things together as long as they can, but eventually it will break. And then there's a new system. So he's suggesting it's going to be a commodity back system. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but, one of the stories out there, your currency will be linked to gold. And as great as that sounds, it doesn't work. It means your economy will instantly collapse. You become deflationary because you're not able to expand the currency or the credit in your system because you're pegging it to gold. You need more gold all the time.
It's a stupid system.
Any gold bugs out listening? Like, how much production can you get a year? Like, it's not an exponential. You can't create it. So that's what the good stories for crypto. They say, hey, as long as we have some energy to make crypto, it'll be good. But again, the point that he's making, and I know his work quite well. He's really strong in like overnight funding markets, what's happening in that space. This is the first time he sort of jumped over into that world, and it can be a bit, I don't know what the right word is. You could be in disbelief if you read it, but what he is correct with is that something is going to change out there because of this debt. It's not sustainable. And he is right that the system has shifted dramatically because of the response to the Russians.
Rich? I was just going to say, I mean, it sounds scary, I think, because change is scary. And I've been on record as saying I hate change. But this has happened many times before. I mean, the Bretton Woods, for people that don't know that, is the name of a hotel or resort in Washington, I think. I think we've talked about it on this podcast before. I mean, it's just a bunch of people sitting together, trying to figure out how the world will conduct business over, a indeterminate amount of time. And this happens a lot. I mean, there's different treaties every little while. And, the earth is still here, and we're still here, and people still do business. And I think that's just something, it's just how do you position yourself for sort of that shift? Just back to your point about the commodity-based system, Keith stole my point, so I won't belabor it, but it just sounds like I don't know. The reason I don't buy it is because it just sounds like another gold system and a gold-backed thing. Commodity is just a fancy word for some element that you have to dig up out of the ground. And so, he made it sound fancy with the word commodity, but I would just say, doesn't that sound like gold? And that never works because you can't expand fiat system works in a way. People hate it now because central banks have screwed it up, but it makes sense that you can expand and contract your money supply outside of a person with a pick and an axe and a shovel. So I think it's really, really important to remember that.
So one thing here, I have been to Bretton Woods, and I've climbed the mountain next to it. I hung out in the gold room, and I do encourage anyone to go to Bretton Woods. It's one of the most beautiful resorts I've ever been to. But everyone should remember, Bretton Woods, these big events, they happen after the crisis. It never happens before. So Bretton Woods was the result of the conclusion and the wreckage, all the rubble lying around from World War II. So we will get another one, Bretton Woods 3, whatever they want to call it, but it'll be after we deal with this gobs of debt that's out there. And I'm excited about it from a financial perspective, because I think you can make a lot of money, or worse still, you can preserve your money. And a lot of people, like to say with their investment portfolios, they're standing in the highway in the middle of the night, and that's not 2 motorcycles coming at you, guys. That's a big truck, right? You can't stand in between the lights. So that's
so